Hi folks, how are you doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. Today I'm offering this devotion as a balm for the heart, the mind, the spirit and the soul. It is titled The Yorkshire Coast, Awakening the Past, the Present and the Future. Before we begin though, I invite us just to still ourselves in silence. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us all. I have lit the flame of freedom in the cup of belonging, acceptance and love. We join together despite our physical separation, united in our devotion to life and to love. Help us to sing for joy, like the birds each morning sing their faith in being alive and being here, whilst also acknowledging the real suffering that is a part of life. May we know the deep connections that sustain us, the roots that hold and nurture us, those roots deep beneath the surface of our lives. May we be unafraid to explore the depths of being, the many layers of life. May we remember that we are deeply connected in heart and mind and spirit and soul. May we be open to all that this day brings, to all that life offers, and may we offer all, our all, to life. May our beings become a vessel this day, a vessel for love, and in all the days to come. Amen. Stu and myself had a wonderful week away on the Yorkshire coast. We needed time away together. It was also needed. A time to refresh and recuperate, as well as enjoy the beautiful countryside, the history and the heritage of the region. We've signed up to a year's membership of English Heritage too. It will help us to get out and about more over the summer, when time allows it, of course. Our hearts, souls, minds and spirits are going to need it, and our bodies too. We walked a lot last week. It was great to breathe in that invigorating sea air. The weather, of course, could have been better, but we didn't seem to mind that much. Not too much, anyway. Now, it was a week away, and yet I could not completely escape my present or my past. Thankfully, Sue has got used to the fact that I cannot go anywhere without bumping into someone I know. We often joke about who we are likely to bump into or meet up wherever we go, really. Can't go anywhere. Well, it seems that to some degree or other, the whole of my life was tapping me on the shoulder last week. Just give me a hey up, Danny. Pay attention. I had gone to soak up and experience the gift of the present moment, but the past was always with me, following me like headlights on my tail. Just like headlights on your tail. Headlights on your tail. And during the week, I also relived many childhood memories, some of which were seemingly long, long lost, and yet they came to life again during our time away. They seemed so real. Many old ghosts seemingly came out to greet me, some unexpectedly. Some were beautiful, others, though, painful. But they were all meaningful. They touched my soul. They awakened something within me. Now the ghosts that you have laid, they all come out to greet you. The knowledge that you've gained, well, none of this protects you. You've been so very far, still peace will not embrace you. For all the while the past is close behind, just like headlights on your tail. Headlights on your tail. Just like headlights on your tail. headlights on your tail. Some words there from Headlights by New Model Army. On the first day, we wandered round Scarborough, watching everything just begin to start to open up again. We retraced many of my childhood steps. I was somehow surprised at how familiar it all was. The town is, perhaps it's fair to say, not as beautiful as it once was, but its spirit is still there, and it did bring to life some beautiful memories. And while we were there, I received a phone call from a fellowship friend who was going to be in Bridlington the next day with his mother and spending some time in Scarborough too for a couple of days. So we decided to go there and then on to Flamborough Head, but we thought we'd meet up with them in Brid first. The day after we met them, we met my Auntie Catherine in Filey, and we spent a day talking and talking and walking and eating and drinking and drinking. It was lovely. She showed me some letters that I'd written to her many, many years ago, letters that were written as a first step to healing some part of the past, really. And it was strangely beautiful reading them, or at least a couple of them. I didn't read them all, a bit much at the time. We also talked of old family holidays as we walked around the old town of Filey, including a holiday we'd spent there with her, in a little room apparently in a guest house. 4 children and 1 adult. It was a beautiful but deeply emotional day, as so many gifts, much of the past, some gifts, some not, came alive as I experienced the moment. There was a deeper sense of healing going on. It felt like the whole of my life was alive in the moment that day, the past, the present, and what the future might hold. The next day we took the steam train from Pickering to Whitby on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. Now, as we were boarding, I swore I saw a retired minister, Reverend Dr. Vernon Marshall, walk down the platform. But I put that to one side. I thought, it can't be Vernon. But there was something about his gait and his walk that was very familiar. It was a beautiful journey up to Whitby through the countryside. But the day in Whitby was, as you might say, spoilt by the weather somewhat. It was wild, really very wild. But you know what? We kept on wandering and walking and taking in the many rites of passage. We fulfilled so many of the rites of passage that you're supposed to experience in Whitby. We walked on to the edge of the jetty as the rain came down and the waves crashed over. It was a bit scary. We walked up to the abbey and up to the old church, up the 199 steps. Now we couldn't go to the abbey as it was closed due to filming, we were told. But as we approached the 199 steps, I saw that man again, the man who boarded the steam train at Pickering. And you know what? It was Vernon Marshall. And I called out to him and we talked for a while. He was with his family on a break too. It's funny, when we were talking, he didn't recognise me at first, as it had been so many years since we last spoke, and I do look a little different, I suppose. For the next couple of days, we took in many of the cultural sites of the area. They were just beautiful. We joined English Heritage for a year at Scarborough Castle, and we reckon it will get us out and about this summer when we have the time to do so. We will need to recharge batteries. On the final day, we decided to drive up to Robin Hood's Bay and Staithes. And actually, we had time to go back to Whitby too and enjoy it in more pleasant weather, shall we say. It was a beautiful day, and one, of course, when I kept on meeting ghosts from my past, tapping me on the shoulder, headlights on my tail. Whilst walking on the beach at Robin Hood's Bay, I saw a face I recognised. He recognised me too, and after kind of taking a double and triple take, we approached each other and we spoke. It was a guy called Andy Butterworth, who I had not seen since 1988 at Batley Grammar School. His partner took a picture of us. I didn't take a picture. I'm not one for taking pictures. But my mind and my heart captured the memory. Later that day in Whitby, we passed my nephew, our Paul, who was out with his wife and some friends on a drinking weekend. It was the first chance to get away since for a long time. We talked for a while before we moved on. It was quite a week, enjoying the present while re-feeling the past and looking forward to an unknown future. So many snapshot moments that have awakened so much deeply in the soul of me. Those little moments, those magic moments, have awakened something deep in me. Last week, I experienced an old word that I discovered this week actually, retrovalue. Retrovalue. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced, but that's my best attempt. But retrovalue is the joy that comes from seeing someone again after a very long time. So last week was a kind of reunion. It was certainly a rediscovery. And you know what? It reawakens so much that was deep, deep in my soul. That's going to be singing on and on as I wander into an unknown future. So much was reawakened in the moment that I will take into my future. The moment was alive. I didn't just live in the moment. I brought the moment alive through my whole lived experience. That seems to be the way to live, I think. Now, one thing we noticed at the weekend, certainly at the end of the break, was that there were many other people visiting these beautiful places, but I think they were there for different reasons to us. You could almost see all the characters from Viz magazine, the adult magazine from my childhood. They were all there descending on Whitby over the weekend, and from what my friend Oliver has told me, they were in Scarborough too. It was pretty mad. I think he had a pretty unpleasant experience by all accounts. But the truth is, these places mean different things to each and every one of us. For me, it's about my past, my present, and my future coming together. For others, it's something completely different, I'm sure. I tried to take in as much of the experience as I possibly could to truly live alive in the present moment. I did my best to keep my homiletic consciousness quiet too, to try not to think too much about what I was going to write afterwards. I allowed my senses to awaken, to drink it all up and enjoy our time together away from the stresses and strains of our lives. But you can never do so completely. And as you can see, my past is always tapping me on the shoulder. Sue says, we can't go anywhere. Just like headlights on your tail. Headlights on your tail. Just like headlights on your tail. Headlights on your tail. Now that week away brought to my mind this following beautiful little gem, In the Present by sadly now deceased Robert Walsh from his wonderful book Stone Blessings. Here's what Robert wrote. On a sunny day I walked alone in a broad valley in Nepal, through an old forest with vines and flowering trees and intermittent vistas of the snow-covered Himalayas. I came upon a clearing in the woods and saw there a holy man, a monk in an orange robe, head shaved, back bent with age, chopping wood. I had conflicting impulses. I wanted to ask him questions. What was his name? Where did he live? What was his life like? I wanted his blessing and I wanted to give mine. And I wanted to pass by invisibly, noiselessly, doing nothing that would disturb him. Instead, I took out my camera and took a picture of him. I tried to be discreet as possible about it. I waited until he was not looking in my direction. I don't know whether he heard the sound. Then I put the camera away and moved on down the trail. I took the picture because I wanted to tell you the story. Now I have a small, still, two-dimensional memento of that moment. We can look at it. It will last for a while. The actual moment completely surrounded me. It had sounds and smells and movement, and it was only real for a moment. Now it's gone, and it will never happen again. I moved through the experience with my attention alternating between the present moment and a future time when I would be back home telling the story. It's what preachers call homiletic consciousness, which means going through life thinking, can I use this in a sermon? But it's not just preachers who do it. I imagine a painter would do the same, or a poet, or a novelist, teacher, composer, or a storyteller. Anyone who uses the experience of life in order to give something to someone else. But the more we stay in the future thinking about telling the story, the less we are open to the power of the experience itself. The more we put a frame around the picture, the more it becomes only a picture and not a real event. Instead of living life each day, we are busy getting ready for life. Yet if it were not for storytellers and photographers, I would never have gone to Nepal. So, I will try to find a balance between being fully in the moment and being present to the whole of life, past, present, and future, here and there, that I may live this day today and also tell the story tomorrow. Because the sun comes out tomorrow, doesn't it, Annie? The sun comes out tomorrow. Sorry, I'm not going to sing that. I do love how Robert Walsh describes trying to balance the power of the moment he was experiencing, observing a holy man in Nepal, whilst also struggling with ideas of wanting to know him and also tell him about himself, to almost justify his presence. Instead, he took a snapshot, hoping perhaps that by taking a picture he could capture the essence of an experience that would help him tell the tale later. Of course, taking a picture does not capture the power and beauty of any moment or any experience, but it does perhaps help one to remember. I was told off for not taking pictures and posting them on Facebook last week by a couple of people, but I didn't want to spoil the experience, so I took very few pictures. Instead, I spent my week surrendering to the experience of the Yorkshire coast, with past flowing through me whilst trying to share this with Sue. Yes, I knew I would talk about these experiences later, as I'm doing now, but I tried to suppress the rationalizing in the moment. I tried not to understand what I was experiencing and just allow my senses, all my senses, to take it all in, including the sixth sense, of course. But that wasn't really the difficult issue. What challenged me more was my past that kept on constantly creeping up on me and tapping me on the shoulder. Like headlights on your tail, headlights on your tail, just like headlights on your tail, headlights on your tail. Now, during our week on the beautiful Yorkshire coast, we shared many magic moments, beautiful moments that will live in my heart. And those moments brought to life, and they fed the wonder of it all, fed something deeper, touched something deeply. But there was also another interesting tie as well that helped to link together the past, the present, and the future. We stayed at a place called Gallows Hill in Brompton by Sordon, which is kind of halfway between Scarborough and Pickering. It's run by a lovely couple who originally are from Birmingham but have lived in North Yorkshire for 40 years now, it seems. I highly recommend the place actually. If you go on TripAdvisor, it's wonderful. It's beautiful. Now, Gallows Hill was the family home actually of William Wordsworth's wife, Mary Hutchinson. And Wordsworth came into my mind on and off all week as I enjoyed the experience we were sharing in the moment, whilst also being transported to so many, many moments from the past, some beautiful, but others heartbreakingly painful. Those beautiful moments, whether in the past or the present, brought to my heart and my mind that little verse, Spots of Time, from the Prelude by Wordsworth, Book 11. There are in our existence spots of time that with distinct preeminence retain a renovating virtue whence depressed by false opinion and contentious thought, or aught of heavier or more deadly weight, in trivial occupations and the round of ordinary intercourse our minds are nourished and invisibly repaired, a virtue by which pleasure is enhanced, that penetrates, ennobles us to mount when high more high, and lifts us up when fallen, and lifts us up when fallen. Don't we all experience such magic moments, these spots of time, when life not only feeds but truly nourishes us on a deep, deep level, a deeper level than the marrow of our bones. Moments when the common become uncommon, moments when the veils we create ourselves just seem to slip away, moments when we seemingly see beyond the ordinary, when we experience reality on a deeper level. Gosh, there were many of those moments last week. The veil was removed and I saw something new, something clearer. Such spots of time are sacred moments that are made holy by the mysterious ability to nourish us, perhaps even repair us in mind and body and heart and spirit and soul. These moments are irrational. They seemingly just come to us from a place perhaps beyond ourselves. Such moments can't be forced. I don't think you can even create them. But we do play a role, and the role is in how we experience them. Such moments can happen anywhere in life. For Wordsworth, these spots of time occurred primarily in nature. But we all experience them in different ways, in different states, in different settings. The moments when time seems to stand still, moments that touch us at the core of our being, moments that transform our lives, magic moments. Time kind of comes compressed, concentrated in such moments. The senses become heightened. Life just takes on a deeper meaning. I wouldn't call them supernatural, for they're grounded firmly in reality, but the spiritual life can only be experienced in reality, really. If I've learned anything, I've learned that. It's a deepening of reality. Life just becomes more alive in the moment. We're touched at deeper levels, but in the reality of the moment. Our whole of our lives come alive in that moment. In these moments, time appears to be slowing down, although obviously time does not slow down, but it's experienced that way. It's not that time stops, but it just becomes more compressed, more concentrated. Thick time, I like to call it. Thick time in thin places, I think is what I would say. And any life can be a thin place. There is more life, there's more life in that moment. But the moment lasts no longer than any other. But the moment is deeper, not longer. For time is time after all. Some would describe this as Kairos time or God's time, I suppose. Well, last week was full of such moments, and I was reminded of many others from that past too. I was reminded by the places we visited as well as the people whose paths we crossed. And they brought to life so many moments from my life. Wonder-filled moments, moments that have shaped me as a human being. They never shaped me painlessly though. Sometimes those moments were as painful as a moment can be. But haven't we all known such moments in our lives? Just think about your life, those moments, those deep, deep moments, the most beautiful and the most painful too. You can't have one without the other. If you're going to be alive, you have to be fully alive. Last week was beautiful, and it also taught me or retaught me a valuable lesson about life. The lesson was about how important it is to balance time in our lives. It reminded me how vital it is that we practice not only living in the moment that we find ourselves, but to truly bring the moment fully to life. We cannot live passively. It's about allowing your whole life to fully inhabit the space that you're in right now, to bring the whole of your life alive in the moment you're in now, without allowing it to dominate almost. Whilst in that moment, somehow allowing that moment to prepare you for an unknown future. A future that's truly unwritten. Well, none of us know what's coming, do we? And nor should we. You cannot predict the future. The future is unwritten. To quote good old Joe Strummer, the future is unwritten. Another thing from my past that taps me on the shoulder. May we all find the balance between being fully in the moment and being present to the whole of life, past, present, future, here and there and everywhere, wherever we find ourselves in life. And if you're anything like me anyway, you cannot get away from either your past or your present because it will just appear there right in front of your eyes. But do we need to? No, we just need to be awake, to be fully present, and the moment will work its magic. But it's our task to be awake, awake to everything. And those magic moments are just going to happen. So let's all live this day. Let's live this day fully alive. And let's live well enough to tell the story tomorrow. Because actually, tomorrow always comes. I'm going to end this reflection with just a few words of blessing for us all. Because you know what? We need to bless more. And you know what? We can all bless. You don't need to be a special person. Well, you are a special person, aren't you? We're here to bless each other and to bless life and let life bless us. So let's bless life by giving our whole hearts to it. Let's begin right now. Let's give our whole hearts to life. Be fully awake to everything. I offer these final words of blessing. May the Eternal bless you and protect you. May the Eternal smile on you and favour you. May the Eternal befriend you and prosper you. And may we carry the song of the Eternal, and may we do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Go in love, go in peace. Amen.